What the fuck?
Hello and welcome to Tastes Like Tea, a podcast in which I talk about myself. My name is Theo. Don't call me Ted. It's been a pretty shit day, if I'm going to be pretty honest. I actually haven't even decided what I'm going to be talking about. Just today, I'm just feeling so tired. I think I underslept again, as per usual, during the week. And I genuinely, I was considering, like, hey, maybe this is the week where I decide to just make the podcast a once a week thing. And if anything, if I come up with a bunch of different things, I can just upload multiple episodes on a day if I happen to overproduce, because I don't want to get too far ahead, like, because then there's going to be a weird point in time where things just aren't going to work out, like, where it's going to be like, oh yeah, 6 months ago I recorded this thing. Like, I don't know, I wouldn't do that. I'm told that talking about your podcasting process on the podcast is a big detrimental no-no, as they call it. But I don't know, it came to my mind. I was like, what the fuck am I going to talk about today? As I usually do, and I have yet to decide. I had to shave again because I picked my face bad. Picked a little bit today, didn't love that. I'm really holding my breath that the landscapers don't show up. I don't really know if that's going to be a thing today or not, but I was just feeling horribly tired today, to the point where I was falling asleep sitting, like, in a standing position, essentially. Not fun. I had 0 conversations. I feel like this might be an interesting thing to start adding to it, is because, like, it's a podcast about me. Maybe I can do a quick little, I brought up how many conversations I had the other day because I hit, like, a record of 3 or something like that. An all-time high of 3. I had no conversations today. When I say it out loud, I find that to be interesting, because I wonder what conversations would I have had if I was more open to conversation. Oh no, I had a conversation. I had one conversation today. Coworkers were discussing Pog flavor. I am very familiar with Pog flavor. I do not like Pog. The flavor, not the toys. I've actually, I think I was born just during, like, the last wave of Pogs being, like, a popular toy, but I was never one to collect them. My sister was a Beanie Baby kid, and I think my parents were like, we can't be collecting a bunch of shit. I was convinced that I was going to own a bunch of really expensive toys, so I tried to keep some Spawn toys in the box, and ended up not doing that. I think I traded, actually. Wow. I hate when my life, I'm like reminiscing through a story and then make a hard right turn into trauma memory. You gotta hit you like a wall of bricks, or hit it like a wall of bricks, because it just, I don't know. Yeah, I had a single Spawn toy. I don't even remember what it was, but it was one I knew I would have hated playing with and would have just kept it in display anyway, so I just kept it in the box. I got it from Toys R Us. It was one of the last things I ever bought from Toys R Us until I got a driver's license and Disney Infinity came out. But I traded it to a very creepy man who sort of followed me around for, I can't tell you how long, months at least, at most, I would say months. Started from him just offering to change my battery on my car while I was at work, so I didn't have to worry about making a trip to a garage, and then it topped out and got the worst when he was in my basement shotgunning a blunt into my mouth while we were playing modded Grand Theft Auto 5. Yeah, it was a very bad time. Very short in retrospect, but bad. What the fuck was I talking about? This is because I was thinking about things I collect. My family collected things. I didn't collect Pogs. Pog flavor. I had the one conversation today about Pog flavor. I used to work in a vape shop. I used to manage a vape shop. So there's a company called Naked, and Naked produced a flavor called, I think it was just called Pog. Now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like it had a longer name than Pog, but it was Passion Fruit Orange Guava. It's an acronym, and coworkers were discussing what the Pog meant as a flavor, and they're like pineapple, orange, grapefruit, and I'm like, no, the G is guava, and then it was like a 2-sentence exchange, and yeah. It was very, thinking about it from that person's perspective, it was probably very weird. But whatever. The small bits of knowledge I have on this earth, whenever I do decide to share them, I feel like they're at the wrong time. Which is another reason this podcast exists, because there is no wrong time. If you're listening to this, it's probably still the wrong time to be hearing about a weird trauma dump or... Oh, no, I got past that. We're past that. But my vape shop experience, my better half of a decade living in the vape environment, and my rise and fall of my nicotine addiction, which I still sort of have. Like Holly Gibney says, you never quit smoking. You can only press pause, and it's up to you to not resume. So, yeah, that's a thing. Anythingbutted@gmail.com if you want to reach out to me. That's 8 minutes of rambling before I got to that. That's interesting. Anythingbutted@gmail.com if you want to reach out. Whatever you want, I guess. It's not a requirement, but I guess it gives me more stuff to talk about on this podcast, because it would be less of me talking out into the void and kind of responding to stuff that came in from the void. I still don't know what I'm going to talk about. I'm trying to stay away from 2 weeks ago, not because it'll be too long ago, but I kind of covered a majority of what I did 2 weeks ago. Something I did that I don't know, I think I'm still saving it, but I am 99%, what do I have, 87, 90, I'm at 88% completion on Jack Sholder's filmography, and I was considering, I'm still considering doing an episode on that. Look at that, more stuff that's not really that relevant. But I've watched a Jack Sholder film every day since, not since last Monday. I didn't go an entire week. I think I missed 2 days where I didn't do it. Yeah. No, hold on. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I did 2 on Friday. I didn't do 1 on Saturday, and then I did 3 on Sunday. Jesus Christ, I injected Jack Sholder Films into my fucking veins, and it was great. It was a great experience. So I think I'm going to do. I was just about to do what I watched. In fact, I'm just at this exact second recording over me saying that I wanted to do what I watched, because I am just going to do a double feature. I've been liking talking about 2 films at a time. And I did do a double feature on, what day was that? Friday. Yeah, Friday. Of 2 Jack Sholder films. So, I mean, it's still, like, on topic of what I'm talking about, but I was about to do everything that wasn't Jack Sholder and save everything Jack Sholder for its own episode. A guy on a motorcycle is being mean and honking at a car in front of him. Oh no, he's on a tricycle. He's not a real motorcyclist. I see. Plus, I've never heard someone ever deploy the horn on a fucking Harley or whatever brands make tricycles. Yeah, I'm going to talk about a double feature. It's a pretty weird double feature. It wasn't intentional, but it did, in fact, save my week. Although it technically... anyway. There were 2 Jack Sholder films, but they're 2 vastly different Jack Sholder films. Technically, one pre and one post 9/11, but the post 9/11 one was not really filmed in response to 9/11 or really has anything to do with 9/11 in any way. I'm normally pretty loving of just drawing some lines, but these weren't even filmed in the same country. This film, the second one, the post 9/11. So yeah, they're just 2 Jack Sholder films. That's really the only connection. I don't even think the second film I'm talking about is even a TV film. Like, I can't even say it's 2 TV films. Yeah, its original release was theatrical. This is not a television film, but the first one is. The first one is an HBO drama. Thriller, honestly. I think it's a little bit more thrilling than dramatic, but it's I'm not even gonna hold on to it. It's By Dawn's Early Light. That's light, L-I-G-H-T, because that sounded like I didn't say light correctly. Light. How many ways can you use the word L, the letter L, in different shapes of your tongue? Different places in your mouth. Whatever. By Dawn's Early Light. Boom. See, I was using the same L pronunciation of early to pronounce light. And it makes the L not as prominent. Light. Early. Light. So, the first one I'm going to be talking about is By Dawn's Early Light, directed by Jack Sholder in 1990. It's a TV nuclear thriller that I feel like it's great. It's a really good film. It's not amazing. It's still like a TV drama, and I'm not necessarily one who loves American war films. Like, anytime I feel like the form of patriotism that's shown in these kinds of films where like, we're on the brink of Cold War, and if we don't stop it, us Americans, if we don't save the world, the whole world is going to shit. In this film, it's very much the same concept of like, we are on the brink of decimating our entire race, and America is partly the fault. So it has a slightly different take on a genre I'm not generally too high on, and it has a hell of a cast. It's got James Earl Jones. It has what the fuck is his name? I don't really know these people by name, but Martin Landau, Darren McGavin, Rip Torn. I know, I like Rip Torn. Hell of a cast. And although I didn't pay much attention to her, and I regret doing so much to the point where I genuinely want to rewatch it just so I can pay more attention to her. But Rebecca De Mornay is in this as well. She's in a bunch of stuff. I know her mostly for being Jay's mom in Lords of Dogtown. There's my misuse of the L again. Lords of Dogtown. That's where I know her the most, where she's kind of like on the brink of poverty, barely scraping by, and then her son gets famously skateboardy. Love that movie. That's a beautiful... Love that film. But yeah, crazy ass cast, especially James Earl Jones, Landau, and McGavin, because they are, they're pretty significant people. They've been in a lot of films. Holy shit. All of them... Well, actually, no. Anyway. What is the film? I don't like the tagline for this film, mostly because it kept distracting me. It says 4 people, 3 minutes, 2 choices, 1 chance for survival. I love the 4, 3, 2, 1 there. I love the countdown, being as that's very significant to the film. But there's way more than 4 people at play here. And there's probably, what they mean is there's 4 specific people making decisions, but I think there's still more than 4 people. I mean, I just named off, looking at the cast, let's see who's making decisions. We got Cassidy, the guy on the plane. We got, he has all the power on the plane, right? James Earl Jones making decisions for another plane. Martin Landau making decisions for America. Condor. Who is Condor? Oh, that's the guy also making decisions for America. So there's 4 people right there. And then we go into Rip Torn, which I guess is more of a devil on the shoulder kind of character for Condor. I don't know who the fuck the rest of these people are, though. That's the problem, is I couldn't pick up enough character names for these other people. But they're just, I guess maybe the people I just named off are the four people making decisions. Both president and fake president, James Earl Jones, and guy in plane. So I guess I just solved it right there by talking it out. But what is this film, right? It's a film where the Soviet Union still exists. I don't know where I forgot to mention it. Maybe in the review for this film, maybe in a different one. I grew up with a globe that I learned geography off of, that still had the USSR on it. So, anyway, this film is about the USSR having a nuclear warhead fired at them. The USSR retaliating, threatening to start a nuclear war, and then just a bunch of shit starts going down. It's running it back in my head. It's actually like, it's really intense. The thing is, it's not much happening. It's a TV movie about the U.S. military. I had a lot of anxiety throughout watching this entire film. I can't exactly hone in on why. I think maybe it's just the way the film was made, because it's kind of just like what you'd expect out of the military stuff in a Michael Bay film, but it's entirely that. But it's then set to the perspective of Threads, where the ultimate issue is that if nuclear warheads are set off, the world is going to die, for the most part. Anybody who's hit is going to die, and they're going to take everybody. So the whole thing is like, the objective is to get it to stop before it happens. And this nuclear warhead is set off, and it sets off a chain of events that quickly, within minutes, gets escalated into a war. The only difference is that while this war is being set up, all the world leaders are corroborating, if that's the right word, collaborating with each other to identify who, what, and how this attack happened, and what they can do to stop it from escalating unnecessarily. Because, I mean, obviously the logic could be that just the Soviets would prefer to, just not send somebody in. But publicly speaking, if a country, if your country was attacked, you'd probably want your country to retaliate. At least in the logic of like military peace or whatever. I failed history a bunch of times, so that means I took history class more than the average person. So, hypothetically, I actually have more experience than the average person in history. As I play with the hair I just picked out of my face. So, bomb is set off. Russia attacks. China attacks Russia because they're in NATO with us. I don't know what NATO is. I know it's an acronym, and I know it's like a war-related treaty or organization of sorts. But I guess off of context, it's kind of a, you attack one of us, you attack all of us. A little Spider-Man 1 kind of energy. Chucking trash at the Green Goblin kind of shit. So America gets attacked, and China's like, well, I guess we're attacking back, because that's our boys. Those are our homies. So it's just a bunch of shit happening. All these things are about to go down. The war is about to be set off. The world will be dead within like 24 to 36 hours if nobody helps the situation. Keep in mind, this film, as I compared it to Threads, and I compared it to Threads mostly because it's just the world on the brink of death, and it's a lot of political considerations that go into what makes this war possible / avoidable. The main difference, though, two main differences about that will probably basically tell you that it's not Threads whatsoever. It just kind of gives me a similar anxiety to Threads. But the bombs never fully decimate the world. There are nuclear bombs set off, and many, many, many people die. But actually, hypothetically speaking, That's exactly what happens in Threads as well. It's just the perspective is different. So really there's only one difference, and that's the perspective. In Threads, you're seeing it basically exclusively through the eyes of the people on the ground who experienced the fallout of the explosion. Like, it's just a human story about human people on the ground, and then a bomb goes off and they have to figure it out. This is a film exclusively through military communications. So the closest you get to a civilian is like the president, or I guess technically the rip-off president in Ohio or Indiana or wherever the fuck he was. But this is entirely, like, there is not a single civilian conversation in this film. It's all militaristic, it's all strategical, it's all just politically powered, I guess. It's very dramatic. I'm hesitating to say melodramatic because I don't know if you can call it melodramatic, but that's kind of where I'm getting at. It's just building music, a lot of manly men getting offended, but talking clean, calm, and collectively through professional lingo. Making deals, underhanding people refusing to be underhanded, corruption in the United States military is really the problem in this film. Is that there are people in the military who would rather destroy the entire world than look weak. At the quote I pulled, I'm not going to look at my phone to check because it's going to take too long to pull up, even though I'm pretty sure I just need to unlock my phone, is something along the lines of like, win? Why would we win the war? I thought we were trying to stop it. And that's the perspective, is that the real human beings in the situation are trying to stop the war, but there are people who say, oh, we got a war on our hands, let's go win it. Let's go deal as much damage as possible in as little amount of time before we are dealt the equal amount of damage. And it brings up my thoughts of Kubrick's Paths of Glory. Glory? I need to pay attention to how I pronounce L's. Glory. Blue. I was told that I can't say blue correctly. Blue. And I don't hear it. Apparently I say it like blue. Anyway. What was I talking about? The war needs to be stopped. And it's very stressful. And so, sorry, I just paused and unpaused. I'm gonna have to get back on track here real quick. So this is all done through manly men, right? I covered that. Men talking to men, making decisions, trying to stop the war. I thought we were trying to stop the war, not win it. Yeah, and that... Oh, shit. There's something there that I really wanted to bring up about war. Good Lord. But yeah, so... the president and I actually don't know if the Soviet Union had a president. I don't know if that's what you would call the leader of the Soviet Union, but the entire time in this film they're calling the president, they're calling the leader of the USSR the president of the Soviets, the Soviet president, which I just feel like that's wrong. I don't think that's true, but I have no way to disprove it. I got stuck on the L thing. Why was I talking about the letter L? I need to not focus on that. That's not the point. So, I don't need to walk you through the entire thing. I guess that's important. But yeah, it's a lot of emotions, but it's emotions, paths of glory. Right. That's where I got the L. Glory. Yeah. See, I got there. It's a lot like Paths of Glory with the way it talks about morality, because the morality is the question in Paths of Glory is it worth fighting a battle? Like, if there's nobody left to win it, why listen to orders that are obviously going to get everybody killed and not progress anybody? Because once you get to the other side of the battlefield, sure, one person made it, but it's not chess. When you make it to the other side, you don't get queened, you get surrounded, because your numbers have been thinned and there's nobody there to win what you just fought to get to. And it's very much that similar mentality of like questioning authority and realizing that going to war, and in this film it's not like a trial of right or wrong in that sense, but it brings up a similar morality question. Because the whole, like I said, there's no civilian conversations. It's all military, including low-level grunt soldiers that are just trying to exist. They're in the military because that was where they could fit in. Like, that's the best that they had. And now they're woken up in the middle of the night or something. I think maybe they're in the middle of the dinner or something like that. But unsuspectingly, chill out squad just gets pulled into a bomber loaded with nuclear weapons and is sent over to Russia to bomb them. And you're just a guy that was there to do a job. And now you have to remember that job requires you to be willing to risk your life and stopping the death of everybody around you. And then the bombs go off, and those people lose the people that they're fighting for. And then the question really becomes like, is my life worth living if all I'm going to be doing is fighting a war to the end of humanity? There's a lot of emotions there. There's a whole the plane crew. So there's kind of like three main plots going on. There's the president trying to calm things down with the USSR. There's people trying to exaggerate the war by making it worse, which simultaneously there's people trying to stop those people. And then there's also the crew that's being sent over to Russia, the Soviets, to nuke them, to retaliate with nuclear bombs. And on that plane is a lot of emotion, because like the main pilot, the captain, is he's doing his best. He's trying to keep these people from, like, keeping them on their job, because the whole thing is that no matter how scared you are in the military, and it's your responsibility to fulfill your duties. And part of that responsibility is being able to handle mental distress, including the knowledge that your family just died within seconds of you realizing, like, of you knowing that they were just alive. Like, you saw in real time them dying. Maybe not personally, you weren't in the blast, but you saw it, you know. And it's a lot of emotions. There's a guy that has denial the entire time. There's people that like go insane. There's people who like start bargaining with each other. And as time goes on, the pressure builds and builds in that plane, and it's really distressing. Unfortunately, the plane's crew is also where the worst parts of the film are. I do think that those emotional beats are the strongest and most powerful parts of the film, especially that one young dude who just refuses to accept that his family is dead. And like he just goes into like a psychosis, like he's just completely fucked. But the worst parts of the film are also with them, because they are in planes that are trying to be shot down, so they get put into like action sequences that kind of ruin the pacing of the film. Like, we're just in the middle of this film where the United States is on the brink of destroying the world accidentally because the wrong people are making the wrong decisions. There's just this patriotic ass like dogfight where people are like, yes, haha, we got him, yeah, blow him up, and everyone's like, yeah, we survived, we did it, hell yeah. We didn't need that. I like the little like physical squabble they get into later in the film, but genuinely that dogfight ruined the pacing and the energy of the film. When that was happening, I'm like, oh, they are going for America saving the world again, because like, yeah. I think it might have just been because clearly, I don't know if Jack Sholder wrote this. I don't think he did, but clearly this film's direction is going into the America is equally as bad, if not worse, than the people we deem our enemies. And they just, I want to say HBO had to shoehorn in a little action sequence where America gets their win. Strictly because of how critical Jack Sholder and the screenwriter, whoever that may be, is putting on on the country. And it's the exact reason I like the film. And honestly, if I watch it again, I probably would raise my score because I'd know what to expect and realize that that dogfight is simply just a blemish in the middle of the film to break up people's undiagnosed 1990s ADHD. God, 30 minutes talking about this thing, huh? I think I have to move on. So let me just close it out, I guess, then, if these trucks would go the fuck away. The war doesn't happen, you know, like that's a relief. But James Earl Jones, although not my favorite part of the film, kills it. He's an immaculate part of the film, and his professionalism is essentially what helps save the world. Like, him being so professional and refusing to accept orders from someone who doesn't give the orders perfectly saved everybody, which is really cool. Rip Torn was really good. He was really he's like the rage baiter of the film. He's the guy going, he's putting evil ideas into the leaders' heads to make sure that the war continues to happen. He's the one like convincing other people to help destroy the world, and he's really good. I like Rip Torn. He plays Don Geiss in 30 Rock. That's how I know him. And I just remember realizing that his name is Rip Torn and going, that's a cool-ass fucking name. But, yeah, he's really good. The guy who plays the President, Landau, is outstanding. He's in another Jack Sholder film as a serial killer, and I think I need to watch more of his films, and I really hope that more of his films involve him being insane and showing those massive fucking teeth he has, because holy shit. Let me look up his name, because I'm just... Landau, right? Martin Landau. Editorial cartoonist. That's cool. Yeah, Martin Landau. He just earned himself a new fan, because he really brought this film together and another Jack Sholder film together that I'm not going to talk about today. I'm realizing that I don't have a lot of time. I'm spending a lot more time on this than I will the second film. But the second film is a B movie. It's literally it's put there. I put it there specifically because it was a B movie. So, well, not the B movie, but a B movie. The president does a great job. He plays the president, Landau, and yeah, I mean that's this entire film is just performances. So like the cast had to be stellar, and the cast was stellar, and they did fantastic jobs. The guy who captained the plane, the Polar One or whatever they called it, that dude was outstanding too. I thought he was Bruce Campbell the entire time. I had no idea who the fuck he was, like as an actor, but he had a great performance too. And the woman that plays Jay's mom in Lords of Dogtown, also very good. She had some awesome emotional moments. Like I said, a lot of the emotion came from the plane crew, and it wasn't all one person. Like they all brought it. Even those no-name guys in the back seats, like they all nailed that emotional hardship of, we are flying a plane to not just our death, but basically everybody else's death as well. They are the hand that deals the final blow, technically, and it's just a very distressing, heavy sequence of scenes that is very well played for a TV film. I mean, it's HBO, so they have a little bit of like an edge with that, but still, wow. I could genuinely, like, I actually regret rating it so low. I'm going to rewatch it soon just so I can rate it higher again, because talking about it, I realized that I liked it. I think it was just the genre it was in that made me realize that I probably should rate it a little lower than it is. But what I'm talking about is great. I enjoy a lot of this. It was very thrilling. I wonder if the thrill would carry over to a rewatch, though, because it might not. I might be the same on it. But, that's By Dawn's Early Light. By Dawn's Early Light. Directed by Jack Sholder in 1990. And it was good. It was a good film. So, up next... Let me take a sip of water real quick. It's hot. Kinda. And I'm too afraid of ticks and nature to go by that tree again. So, stuck with that. But... second film, 2001... seemingly filmed in Spain, if not, at least somewhere not in America, but I'm pretty sure it was in Spain, maybe South America, but 2001's Arachnid? I think it's just singular. Jesus Christ, I hate this fucking truck. Arachnid from 2001, yeah. Also directed by Jack Sholder. This film, honestly, it ended up being way better than I thought it would be. When I think 2001 monster movie, I think about, especially one rated so low and so unseen, that there was no way that there was going to be anything good coming out of this. Like, there was no way I was convinced this was going to be probably the lowest rated film on Jack Sholder's filmography that I've seen, and it actually ended up being in the better half. Better than some, nowhere near as good as others. As I did mention earlier, it is a theatrical film. It is not a TV film. And so, like, it did get a full release. It's not even like it was a direct-to-video or anything. Like, this hit a theater. It hit a theater in 2 different countries. So that's really cool. I mean, Jack Sholder, this isn't the first time he's doing international filmmaking either. Like, he's still an American filmmaker, but utilizing international locations and cast members. Not the first time he will do it. But it's a film. It's called Arachnid, right? The opening scene, Jack Sholder knows how to open a fucking movie, and I failed to mention that about By Dawn's Early Light, but that film kind of opens with a blast too. I mean, it literally opens with a nuclear bomb being fired and exploding. But this film is By Dawn's Early Light is definitely not as Jack Sholder of an introduction as Arachnid is, because Arachnid starts with a fucking and actually I like this double feature. I kind of wish I watched it the other way around, because it kind of just made a little bit more sense. But this film opens with I guess it works actually better as the B movie. This film opens with a man in the Air Force hunting down / running away from an invisible UFO that is carrying a giant spider. And the plane goes down, and he lands on this island where he just gets stranded there. He has no communications out, and he finds the UFO, and the alien explodes, and out comes a giant fucking spider. That isn't just a giant spider. It is also can turn invisible and spit acid. So it's just like, it's kind of just like an alien. It's just a monster being sent out into the world. Cut to the future a full year-ish, and that Air Force man's sister is like, damn, I can't believe they haven't found him yet. I'm convinced he's still there. She actually this woman dedicates her entire career to finding her missing brother, and she gets a crew together, a crew involving kind of like a Jurassic Park 3 situation, where there's like a rich dude that's like there's a okay, actually no. They go to an island. They go to an area. I don't know if they're actually on the island yet. No, they don't go to the island yet. But they discover like a new insect bite, and they're like, we got to go into the woods and find that insect, identify it, and then see if we could build an antivenom against it. So that's kind of the main objective with the film, is that they're going to this island to identify the thing that is making people sick. They know it's a spider, and that's about it. So they're going, there's a spider nerd there who loves spiders to the point where he like picks them up and like, hey, can I take this home with me? There's the rich doctor who's funding it, and his big-breasted, braless wife, who is kind of like his medic. You got this small group of people going onto this island to find a spider with fully automatic weapons. I think early in the film, before they're like, why do you need so many weapons? He's like, just in case. It's one of those kinds of things, one of those guys. But little did they know, they needed those fucking weapons. But they're going into the jungle with like M16s. And they're just like loaded the fuck up, ready. I think they actually have some Marines going with them. And they have this really shitty Semper Fi moment. But yeah, because the military is involved in this, I do think it isn't an entirely wasted double feature. I think that connection alone makes it kind of worth it, other than it being two Jack Sholder films, which I will get to some key Jack Sholder film things again soon. We already got his bombastic introduction sequence. So now we're moving on to, they're on the island. They're loaded up with guns. There's some very specific like misogyny going on, very generic misogyny. It's 2001, so it's like at its most generic. Like it can be made fun of because it's acknowledged that it's sexist, but it's also the people writing it are just not thinking about it in a serious way. Let's see. So they go to the island. They meet up with some locals, which is a big deal. They're going on. They meet up with them before they go on the island. That's part of the crew. They bring along like a small group of. I think they just call them natives. I don't think they ever really specify what kind of natives, but they're just kind of racially ambiguous, and that's probably the only post 9/11 thing I can really pull from this film, if you really wanted to, is that they are generalizing foreigners and kind of demonizing going to like third world countries in a sense. But that's really the most I can pull from that. And other than that, though, actually no, this is actually slightly pre 9/11. This was being filmed and probably just about to release as 9/11 happened. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. But 9/11's not relevant. It's just a thing I like to talk about. So they're on the island. The spider starts attacking them. And, you know, up until this point, I was convinced that this was going to be like a really, really bad movie. Like one of those, like, doesn't even technically deserve to exist kind of bad movie. I'm trying to think of, like, a specific title, but, like Planet Dune. That kind of stuff, where it's not entirely green screen, but it's not original or clever or well done, or it's just the most generic sci-fi action movie you can make. And that's kind of what I thought this was going to be. And usually those films are loaded to the brim with why can't I think of it? What was I talking about? Oh no, I completely lost it on this. That's so fucked. They go to the island. They have weapons. They're looking for a spider. The spider finds them. Wow, that was a really bad one. That sucks. That's so annoying. It's also getting hot too. There's no crosswind right now, so I'm just kind of sitting in a car with the windows down and no wind coming through. Right. Loaded to the brim with bad CGI. That's what I thought this film was going to be. And the introduction didn't really help with that, because there was a lot of bad CGI. With, like, the invisible UFO and the alien itself. And some of the spider stuff looked really shitty. But little did I know, nor expect, that they built a giant spider robot for this film. I don't know how intricate, how big exactly it is, but they build, like, there's a lot more practical effects in this film than I thought there'd be. And although the film isn't very interesting, the spider, the arachnid monster that they're fighting is very interesting. It's really, because it's just a really cool giant alien spider monster. And I think it works really well, because at first it's invisible. Most of the time it's invisible. So other than you getting that big glimpse of its, if you look at the poster, that's kind of like how you first see it. It like stabs a hole through a person, and then all of its legs kind of come out from around it, like the Iron Spider suit, and grab the person and like pull them back and rip them apart or whatever. But there's it's just really cool experiencing these spider things. So like you see him at first in the beginning, and then you don't see him for like a good 45 minutes to an hour. Like you just it still attacks and it still exists in some way, but it's not visible. It's almost entirely invisible or slightly off screen. And that's a really classic Jack Sholder thing that I've noticed, is that he loves showing you the monster early, and then instead of being a monster movie per se, like specifically, it's more of a thriller of like, holy shit, there's this thing that we know is monstrous, ugly, horrible, and evil, and we know what it looks like, and we know it's around, but we don't know when it's going to strike. We don't know what else, like we don't know when it's going to arise, that problem is actually there. And that's really that's a very Jack Sholder thing, I think. It's literally what happens in The Hidden. Like the second they get an opportunity to show you the monster, they do it. And it's exactly what happens in Sketch Artist 2, Hands at Sea. You know the rapist is that guy. The problem is that no one believes anybody. So like it's all the thrill is with, he's right there, kind of thing. And it's a very powerful it might be manipulative to an extent. I mean, what movie isn't manipulative, right? I guess that's the whole point. But it's like, it's a really good way of selling thrill, like stress. Because you could even be looking the monster in the eye and going, I know what you are, but they don't know who you are. It's also what ruins the first Terminator movie, actually. Because a big part of Sarah Connor's thing was that she didn't know what to look for. And neither did other guy. Whatever, I'm not talking about Terminator. So, they're firing fully automatic weapons. There's natives going around. They're in just board shorts, and that's it. They're just like skinny, Twinkie looking naked dudes, which I think is our final Jack Sholder introduction. I force, if not find, gay / closeted gay themes in Jack Sholder's films. It was told to me that Nightmare on Elm Street 2 was a gay film. I didn't believe it until like my 10th watch, when someone finally told me, and I was like, holy shit, it is. And then I watched some other films and went, holy shit, these all have similar themes in them. What if all of them do? And here we are, at the end of it. Not entirely, but I think these Twinkie little indigenous boys are kind of a gay injection into the film, because there's a very unnecessary scene that I think really sold it for me. I think up until that point I thought I was just being a little racist. I was like, oh, there's just some guys here and they're not wearing clothes as per natives or whatever. You know, I don't know what I was really assuming, but up until the point where this completely unnecessary scene where they're walking through the river. Two dudes. There's the main twink boy. I don't remember what they call him. It's no better than Twink Boy, though. And then a guy named Bear, who is just a tall, deep-voiced man. And he's talking to him, and they start dancing in the water, doing a little shake, and their arms are moving very weird, and they have like a look where they share a little like teethy smile that is just immediately cut off by the women on dry land going, "What are you doing?" So I'm just saying, there could be. I'm not saying there is, but I'm pretty sure that something like that would kind of fit into my Jack Sholder theory. But yeah, then the spider starts attacking, and there's some really great scenes with the spider. Firstly, before I even get to the actual spider monster, which technically shows up before this thing I'm about to talk about happens, but I think I mentioned there's a nerdy spider guy who just loves spiders so much. He's like, "Oh, let me go collect some web samples," and he finds like another spider, and he pulls out a tube of nitrogen to freeze the spider, I guess, to put him in like a deep sleep. It's easier to travel with. I never really knew that was a thing, but I suppose you can keep a spider alive in sub-zero temperatures. It would just get cold. But he goes to collect some samples or something, and the spider gets him. It's where they introduce that he has has acid spit, and that it is invisible. That's where it's like 100% secured, locked in. Well, I mean, actually, no, we know about the invisibility thing from the very beginning, so I guess that's a lie. But we find out that its spit is acid because it drools on the guy's hat and it catches on fire. And then the guy gets captured, and he's put into like, I don't know what it's called when a spider does it to prey, but he's like cocooned up in web, being consumed, and or like being ready to be consumed. And it's a really good scene. Like, the guy who plays the nerdy dude gets really into this like deterioration of his body scene. He's all sweaty, his eyes are sunken in, and his head is popping out of the cocoon, and he's like just talking to these guys like, "Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do." Like, you know, he's accepting that he's gonna die. He's saying like, "Hey, tell my family I love them, and take back my corpse or whatever if you can get it," and just like end of life stuff. And then they're like, "All right, no, we can't just leave you here. We're gonna get you out of this." And they start tugging on the cocoon, trying to cut it off. First of all, the web is so strong that it doesn't cut. And also, the guy is like, no, don't undo me. At this point in the process, my insides are being dissolved by this web. My body's being consumed from the outside in. And the only reason it's not torturous to me is because they injected some sort of neurotoxin into my system to paralyze me. And the way he describes it is very gruesome, but it's very effective. Because it reminded me of kind of like what happens in House of Wax when the freshly waxed dude gets his cheek pulled off and his teeth get exposed, and like he's just picking at his, that like, if they pulled that web away from his body, his organs would come out with it, because he's at that point partially dissolved. And that's really cool. It was a really good scene. It was a really intense scene. It almost had me worried because, as I said, we don't see the spider monster until later. Yeah, you don't actually see the entire spider until later. So at this point, the guy gets pulled off screen. I'm like, oh no, it's gonna be like Mousetrap, where all the kills are off screen and it's just implied violence, and that's not going to be good. Like, that's a good low budget way of selling death, but if it's done badly, it's really bad. So to see that this guy who got pulled off screen in a later scene is being melted in spider webs in a very icky looking way, it definitely raised the bar for the film almost immediately. And then soon after that, the spider, I don't know if it's an animatronic or if it's a really good animation or if it's like bits of animatronics that they cut together and then just have like a scaled up full body model. I don't know what they're doing to make this arachnid appear on screen, but it is not it is really good. It is a really good machine puppet robot thing. Like, I could almost imagine that the final confrontation where all the legs and the like pincer head pokey thing get utilized all at once on the same screen. I bet there's like a bunch of puppeteers off screen doing that. Like, it's very Audrey 2 in that sense. Yeah, the spider is really cool though. It's not just the spider. It has this weird, like, it's kind of like a deployable, like, all right, let's yeah, I think I can stick with that. A deployable stinger that's in his head. Oh, landscapers are here. Good thing I'm almost done. But, God damn it, fuck off, guys. The grass barely grew since the last time you were here. So, well, all the sounds are distracting me now. That's great. Come on, I'm almost there. The spider looks fantastic. Genuinely have no clue how they made it, and I don't know how they put it on screen, but it looks fantastic. It has these great kills. At one point, it just vomits acid spit onto a dude's face until it melts off. I think that same dude gets his skull crushed. There is some really, really, really good violence in this film, and it makes up for all the bad plot. It's basically I shouldn't say basically. It's almost exactly Evil Bong 2, King Bong, but with really good special effects. Because the practical violence is really good in this film, and it really fixes. It makes. I knew it was going to be a crappy B movie, but I didn't know it was going to be this well cared for of a crappy B movie. Like, this film should not have been as good as it is, and it is. Maybe it's because it filmed out of, like, across, like, overseas, that it was cheaper. Like, maybe locations are cheaper there, and they were able to, and the cast members are, barely relevant at all. Like, this is a very no-name cast horror B-movie flick kind of thing. And, it came out on top. I'm pretty sure the final, I know for a fact it wasn't actually, but it looks like the same exact set from the final fight of Stephen King's It miniseries. And if it's not, it's almost like they were intentionally mimicking the final fight from the Stephen King It miniseries. Because, other than there being similar shots of, like, them fighting a giant spider that eats people, the set just looked very on the nose, and it was a very similar sequence of, like, people sacrificing themselves and everything. But whatever. Also, the girl does find her brother. He got Jumanji'd at the beginning of the film. He got left on this desert island with not desert island. It's actually a very lush green island I'm almost like I want to consider that maybe they even filmed part of the filming for like the establishing shots was the island from Jurassic Park. Like genuinely, it feels like that. Like it's that green and tropical looking. It's very nice. But between, how it was shot, how it was made, and the special effects, it was really good. It makes up for the bad story, and it makes up for ultimately not great acting, except for that dude that got melted by spider webs. That was great. Yeah, that was my Jack Sholder double feature. It is, I'm going to be talking about more Jack Sholder in the future, most definitely, because I really want to see if I can get together like an episode where I can talk about everything as like a whole, because I have one feature left and one short left, and I'm done with his films on Letterboxd. He does have a lot more on IMDb that I'm going to have to check out. Maybe I'll like look up specific episodes of shows. Maybe he's done anthologies or something. But that's for another day, I suppose. I feel good about this episode, though. It ended up being a lot better than I thought it would have been, because I literally recorded not knowing what the fuck I was going to record, and then by the time I decided, maybe I should look back at what I should do first, I was already 11 minutes in, and I did not want to give up that 11 minutes of jib-jabbery that I had. Did I? No. Now that I'm thinking about it, I might have fucked up. But, you'll hear it there's no edit. You'll hear it in the final cut. I may have declared what I was going to do and then didn't roll back far enough to record over that bit. But whatever. It's fine. Like I said, I'm considering moving to one episode a week. That might have just been me being tired. I'll see how the rest of this week goes, but I really do want to get some writing in. I didn't write anything last week. The day I was supposed to write, I fell asleep because I was too sleep deprived. So, maybe if I just fix my sleep schedule a little bit and approach this, approach the podcast and just my after work activities in a slightly different angle. I'm really excited for this weekend because I'm going to be finishing off Jack Sholder's filmography for a very specific event. I am going to a movie theater, and I'm very, very excited to talk about it because it's a very significant film for me. It ended up being accidentally because I kind of, I was admittedly just, going to watch it out of like the lulls, like for the fun, and it ended up being a very monumental moment in my as I exist today, genuinely. So I'll leave it at that. anythingbutted@gmail.com if you want to reach out. If you want to get a heads up on what that thing is, like I'll tell you in a private email. How about that? How about that for some incentive? If you want to know up to 5 days in advance, let me know. Just specify, because like I said, I'm a few episodes in the bag already, so like I don't know what I'll remember by the time I wake up and whatever I'm talking about. Sorry, I got lost. anythingbutted@gmail.com if you want to tell me about it or ask me about it, and I'll tell you about it. You have been listening to Taste Like Tea, a podcast about me. Me am I am he am tea. Goodbye.